Eileo guys, and welcome back. In today's video though, we do have the lovely update for Vampire here, and shout out to my boy Terry for indicating that the update is needed. So let's go ahead and give it a go. Alright, so we're going to start off here with Dark Vamp just to change things up here because why not? So we have Dark Vamp here who's a defender type, and he's coming in with nearly 31k HP. Technically 30.6k HP, but don't come for me. Attack wise though, he's sitting at 1.9k and then 3.1k defense. So I know a lot of you guys see Dark Mons and you're like, oh, I must have max crit rate on him. Is max crit rate necessary for every Dark Mon in the game? No! Is it necessary for him? No! Why? You should base that analysis off of their skills here. So for his 3-star skill and 5-star skill, he has Sap, but don't worry, these are two different versions of Sap here. So for his 3-star skill, he has Sap, which grants 100% chance to inflict 3 types of Sap on the enemy for 1 turn, meaning 3 stacks of Sap, which I believe is 7%. So in theory, if none of these are resisted, he could shred off 21% of the enemy's HP in the perfect world. And then for his 5-star skill, he has a 70% chance for his Sap as well, but this one's 2 types of Sap for 2 turns, meaning if they somehow didn't resist this one either, I'm talking about you, Golems B15, that they would have 2 stacks of Sap on them for 2 turns, meaning that he's taking off 14% of their maximum HP for 2 turns, which obviously results in 28% once all things are said and done here. Now in the past, Dark Vamp was a meme, but with his recent update, especially if you guys haven't checked out my Sappers tier list, he is honestly one of, he's not top tier Sap, but he is one of the greater Sap Mons. So if you have him and you don't have Mons like Dark Floor, which is very, very similar to him, congratulations, you lucked out. Go ahead and build him up to Evo 3 and give him a usage. Speaking of which, I do hope in the future that he does get a super evolution because of his recent updates here of where he went from kind of meh to like, okay, some of the Vamps, you alright. Some of them, still trash, but some of them, alright, I will use you. But anyways, his 3-star Sap receives a 20% damage boost because 2 turns, 3 times Sap would be super duper amazing. And then for his 5-star Sap, that goes up to, what was that, 80% for 2 turns? 80% for 2 turns, and it receives a 20% damage boost as well. Damage boost doesn't really matter because Sap is based off of the enemy's HP, meaning no matter how much attack that you give your Astromon, they're not going to do any more damage. In this case, would I build him more attack based? If I have the gems for it, sure, why not for science? He has the ability to survive already. Why not? I'm not saying that he needs max crit, but in general, it's okay for you if you want to build him more of a bruiser-ish type build, or if you want to do fully defensively. I just like to try and get some base damage out of my sappers as well, but feel free to build him however you like. Coming in after that though, we do have Light Vampire, who's an attacker type. He's coming in with 28k HP, 3.3k attack, and then 2.3k defense. I'm telling you guys, a super evolution would do wonders for this dude. Absolute wonders here. So let's take a look at his skills. So for his 3-star skill, he has SP Siphon, which takes off 25% of the enemy's SP, which prevents them from getting through their 5-star skill, which is very, very good. And then for his 5-star skill, he has Defense Down with a 70% chance for 2 turns here. So not too bad. Obviously, his kit is more towards crowd control and applying debuffs to the enemy. So hopefully another Astromon in your team can serve as a nuker to dish out some nasty damage if that Defense Down sticks. But we're not going to talk about that here. We're talking about Vampire. So SP Siphon receives a 20% damage boost, and it goes up to 30%, which is pretty chunky. Pretty decent upgrade. Defense Down receives a 20% damage boost as well, and it goes up to 80% for 2 turns, if I'm reading that correctly. 80% for 2 turns. Okay. I think that's pretty solid. His main usage, obviously, is just crowd control. Even though he's an attacker type, he's not really meant for damage because of his kit. Like, you're not going to get any damage from SP Siphon, and you're not really going to get any damage from Defense Down until after Defense Down is applied. So don't feel like you're stuck building him like crit rate attack. You can feel free to build him like crit rate attack HP. That way he has survivability, because if he's dead, what's the point of having an SP Siphoner there if he's laying on the ground? You're not preventing the enemy from acting. Same thing if you're going to use his debuff, which is his Defense Down, which you have no choice in using. why go all out on his damage when he dies in a literal turn and can't do any of his moves at all? His stats in his kit just say otherwise. They're like, bro, I can do damage, but I actually can't do damage. That's pretty much it here. Following in after that though, we do have Wood Vamp, who is a balanced type, and he's coming in with 31k HP, 2.2k attack, and then 2.3k defense. Nat 4, meaning that you have to pull a decent amount of vampires, which, trust me, is super duper easy to do in this game. Vampires is just a mon that I get literally all the time here, so building him isn't too bad. Obviously, as a newer player, it's a big gold cost and it's kind of hard because you don't really have a good way of getting Astro Gems. But as someone that's been around the block, he is super duper easy to build, and if I recall correctly, one of these are useful in the fusion. I just don't remember which one. Maybe it's this one. Maybe I'm wrong here, but for his 3-star skill, he has Morale Boost, which grants a 100% chance to restore 30% of his own SP when attacking, meaning he can get to his 5-star skill fairly reliably. And so for his 5-star skill here, he has Sap, which grants 80% chance to inflict 2 types of Sap to the enemy for 1 turn if it sticks. This is pretty bad, even though he has the ability to get through his 5-star skill quickly. 1 turn Sap is just a slap in the face here. So let's take a look at the skill book. So his morale boost receives a 20% damage boost, and it goes up to, what was that, 40% for himself. Weird champ, but okay. And then for his 5-star skill, Sap receives a 20% damage boost, and it goes up to 2 turns. What was that, 80%? 2 turns, 80% chance of his Sap and his 2 types of Sap. Okay, so he's usable with books. If you want to build a Sapper outright for whatever content that you're doing, unless it's Elemental Tower of Chaos, I wouldn't build him just because of the steep investment needed of getting him to Evo 3. Then getting at minimum 4 Vamp books to all go into Sap to get that beneficial turn. But in a perfect world, if you could build him, he would be an okay Sapper, nothing super duper extravagant. He would just be here hanging out. But yeah, if you want a cheap Sapper, with the recent update to Water Sea Star, she in my opinion is one of the better Sappers that is just easy to access, so just build Water Sea Star instead. She's a Nat 3, a lot more common than what Wood Vamp is, and other than that, like I said with the Elemental Tower of Chaos, I don't really see much usage here just due to the fact of you have to have 16 of these jokers to get him to this point, and then I have to dump in skill books to him to get him to like be usable. It's gonna be a no for me, dog. And then alright, next up here we do have a Water Vampire, who's an attacker type coming in with 26k HP, 3.3k attack, and then 2.2k defense. So once again, decent stat distribution, nothing too extravagant because he is a Nat 4, and like I stated with the Wood one like 85 times, you do require 16 of these MFers to get him to Evo 3. So keep that in mind here. Skill wise though, he has Curse for his 3-star skill, which grants an 80% chance to inflict 3 curses on the enemy for 2 turns. And then for his 5-star skill, he has Fulminating Curse. So what Curse does is obviously is a debuff just like Sap here, but unlike Sap, it scales off of his attack stat. Notice I said attack stat, meaning if you build your Curse Mons with crit rate attack, and it's not Dark Hades, congratulations. You've played yourself. Why? Because Curse does not scale with crit rate. Crit rate does nothing with Curse. Yes, crit rate, boosts up your attack when you crit, but Curse has nothing to do with your crit rate. So, if you don't have a Dark Hades, get your Mons off crit rate attack with Curse Mons. Give them HP attack. Give them something else attack, but not crit rate. But you can do that if you want. It's none of my business here. And then what Fulminating Curse does is, depending on how many stacks of Curse that you have on it, once you get Fulminating Curse off, it takes all of those stats away, and in theory should do a massive amount of damage. Now Curses went through a couple of changes here, and it's better than what it was before, and it's constantly getting better. I don't think Curse is totally top tier yet, but we are hopefully approaching to where it's going to be more of a mainstream skill. Its main selling point though is with, it was either HP or defense aggressors, if I'm remembering correctly. I think it's HP aggressors of just eating their HP away. So do keep that in mind there. With books though, Curse receives a 20% damage boost, and it goes up to 100% chance for those 3 types of curses for 2 turns. And then Fulminating Curse receives a 25% damage boost as well. So you can build him at your own discretion here. Curse, in my opinion, is just very, very niche. And if you don't have like Dark Hades, I think there's Dark Jiangshi, and I think Light Mirror was the first Light Mom of Curse. If you don't have a couple of Curse Mons laying around and you want to try it, then you can build him for a future Curse team if you want. But other than that, I would just build him for the Astro Guide if you have vampires laying around. If you don't have vampires laying around, then I would just feed him. Feed him to an actual worthy Nat 4 rebirth one day. Smart study, we're still waiting on a actually good Nat 4 rebirth because the Astromon that are going through the rebirth cycle for Nat 4s have just been bad. Like, honestly, just terrible. Like, unless you're going for the Astro Guide, you're literally wasting your Mons to get those piece of crap Astromon. But I digress. Alright, you guys, we're going to shut it down here with Fire Vampire, who's also an attacker type, coming in with 26k HP, 3k attack, and then 2.2k defense. Why do I feel like his attack stat is literally just worse than water vampires for literally no reason? Not literally no reason, because we can see that he has Hunter, but still, why are they going to do this boy like this, man? Why are they doing freaking Fire Vamp dirty here? But for his 3-star skill, he has Adrenaline, which critical hits have a 100% chance to restore his own HP by 50%. And then for his 5-star skill, he has Hunter, which increases his critical hit damage by 50% as well. So it's kind of odd with the whole crit rate reliance on his Adrenaline, but it makes sense since Hunter requires crit rate, because to all of my newer players out there, if you have Hunter on your Astromon, hint hint Dark Mona, and your Dark Mona doesn't have maximum crit rate, which is 100%, if she does her 5-star skill and she doesn't crit, Hunter does not activate. Meaning, if your Astromon doesn't have 100% crit when they do their 5-star skill for Hunter, and it doesn't crit, basically that 5-star skill doesn't exist. Basically, you're just wasting your time and your damage. So if your Mons don't have maximum crit rate, throw them on an intuition set. Pray to Tina that you can get some decent subs and get them to maximum crit rate here. Hunter in itself isn't bad. Fire Leo has a similar kit to this, but he has double Hunter. And the whole Adrenaline thing, Fire Wild Fang does a similar job, but she's not like a hybrid of both here. She's not trying to be a damage dealer and a healer, because you can literally just make her a damage dealer. Same thing with Leo. Vamp's case though, he is kind of done dirty here, because Adrenaline does imply some self-sustainability and Hunter does imply damage here, but with Fire Leo and Fire Wild Fang in the running, it's just like, why would I choose Vampire over those two? Because his Adrenaline receives a 25% damage increase, which is okay, and then Hunter receives a 25% damage boost as well. So books are very, very lackluster, considering I have to have 16 of these Astromon to build to get him to this point. And what's also sad is both Wild Fang and Leo have super evolutions. Now, I'm not going to tell you that Fire Astromon, especially at the end game, are super duper useful. I honestly only use my Fire Draka at this point, but obviously I've been playing the game for a bit. It makes sense as to why I only really use her for that. And other than Elemental Tower of Chaos and my Courageous Strikers, I don't really use Fire Astromon at all. But just looking for insights for other players out there, especially newer players, it's just like, why would I build him over any of the other Astromon here? 3k attack stat, he has Hunter, right? Slide over here to Fire Leo. 3.5k attack stat, double Hunter. Why would you build Fire Vamp? Let's go over here to Wild Fang, who has double HP Siphon, which I understand is self-sustain, but because she's guaranteed to heal herself no matter what, you can go full out damage on her. And I mean, honestly, her damage can be quite similar to a Mon with Hunter depending on your gem quality here. And then Fire Wild Fang is sitting at a 3.3k attack stat before Super Evolution, and her HP I believe is like 1k higher than the others. Still, once again, if we go over here to skill books, so what is that? She gets that's a 10, 20, 35% damage increase, 35% damage increase. With both of her HP siphons, he gets a 20% damage increase on both of those. And then Fire Vamp receives a, what was that? 25% damage increase with his Hunter. Why? Why would you do that? The real answer is, why not? But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully I've driven my point here. Fire Vamp needs a super evolution and hopefully some better skills in the future. But that's pretty much it for the vampires. If you guys are curious of which vampires are worth building, In my opinion, if you have light and dark, feel free to build those. I do think dark is a decent sapper, and I do have one that I'm in the process of building on my account here, just to have fun with him. If not, at the end of the day, he's easy world boss fodder. And that's pretty much it for the vampires. Because of the amount of investment that you have to do to make the other ones work, why would I build them over Leo or Wild Thing? Feel free to leave in the comments below about what your favorite vampire is. If you guys haven't checked out my other MSO monster reviews, feel free to check out the playlist. If there's any more Astromon that need to be updated, just leave a comment in that video saying update and I will get to it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If it's your birthday, happy birthday, and see you.